Kathy, can you tell us about yourself and why you are running for the Board of Education?
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone, and thank you for inviting me here today. I'm Kathy Mix, and I'm running for the Board of Education because I care very deeply about all Jeffco students and their futures. I've been associated with and serving Jeffco schools for 30 years. I see a need for strong leadership on the board, and I have the skills, the experience, and the passion required to fill that need and to get Jeffco schools back on top. So a little about myself. I've been married for 35 years, and I have 3 grown children. My entire family graduated from Jeffco Public Schools. I graduated from Lakewood, my husband from Wheat Ridge, our oldest daughter from Columbine, and our youngest 2 boys from Chatfield. I attended the Colorado School of Mines in Golden, where I played basketball and volleyball. After Mines, I worked at Viacol for 10 years as the engineering manager and lead solid propellant engineer for the space shuttle program. So I was literally a rocket scientist. I currently lead an innovation team for Johns Manville's building insulation business. Our world headquarters are in Denver, and our world-class research and development facility is in Littleton. I have 5 patents and numerous publications. I'm also on 3 boards for very large, very successful trade organizations, so I know how to govern. I was actively involved in Jeffco schools when my kids were enrolled for 17 years. I also coached volleyball at Columbine High School for 10 years. I had the privilege of working with hundreds of young women, parents, and administrators. My kids are all doing very well. They have great jobs. They're happy and secure. In my job now, I travel all over the country, and some of the things I see are not so great. In the big cities, there's widespread homelessness and hopelessness, and that problem is due in part to our public education system failing. And I think about our kids in Jeffco, and I want to make sure that they have the skills they need to be successful in the 21st century, and that's why I'm running. We need to make sure that we are providing all of our kids with the education and experiences that they need. Jeffco has had a reputation for greatness, and I want to help get them back on top. Thank you.
Share your understanding of the issues surrounding the Jeffco Public Schools budget.
Thank you. That is an excellent question. Jeffco's budget this year is $1.4 billion. Spending over the last 5 years has significantly outpaced inflation while enrollment has dropped. In the last 5 years, spending has increased 33% versus a nearly 10% inflation rate, while enrollment has decreased 7%. We know we have an issue with competitive pay. My opponent wants to raise taxpayer and ask for more money. In my opinion, this would not be well received. Jeffco's annual budgeting process only looks at how to allocate incremental revenue rather than the entire spend. We need to do a reset. We need to look at the entire $1.4 billion to ensure that it is used effectively and efficiently and aligns with our goals and objectives. Also, our capital improvement program is more than $100 million over budget, with 3 years left to go. I'm a leader in my business, and I get a finite budget that I determine how it should be used to accomplish our goals, and then I'm accountable for those outcomes. I see this as similar to school-based budgeting. Principals have the autonomy to decide how to use their funds. I fully support this model because the principal is the leader of their school and is in the best position to know how to use those funds in their school effectively.
Number 3, how will you balance the competing interests of employee compensation versus student and school needs?
Thank you, Mindy. I actually don't see these as competing interests. In my job now, I'm in the middle of our annual operating planning. I have a strategic multi-year plan that my team is methodically executing to meet the needs of our business. We use a quantitative cost-benefit model to prioritize how our resources are spent. And I think it would be very interesting to see if we used a similar process in Jeffco to see how those resources would be spent. And I would be very surprised if teacher pay and competitive pay for the other supporting staff didn't rise right to the top. In my opinion, the best thing that you can do for a student is to provide them with educators that are the best at what they do. Everything else is secondary to that.
Our question 4 is, describe the impact of the pandemic on Jeffco Public Schools and what you will do to ensure student learning, safety, and health.
Thank you for that question. This is the third school year that has been impacted by COVID. It has had a significant toll on everyone: academics, students, staff, mental and emotional health. Fortunately, Jeffco has received unprecedented amount of federal and state aid to help the district to address these challenges. The district's management team is responsible for developing and implementing plans to meet the challenges exacerbated by the pandemic. As directors of the board, our governance responsibility is to ask the right questions, not to tell the answers, to make sure that these plans are sound and management is held responsible for successfully implementing them. I also believe that the school board needs to sit down with Jeffco Public Health and do a comprehensive risk-benefit analysis so that we can make sure that we are making informed decisions regarding the burdens that we are placing on staff, students, and the community. Thank you.
What are the major issues confronting our district regarding student achievement, and what will you do to improve them?
Yes. For the last few years, Jeffco academics have been declining. In 2019, before COVID, only 46% of third graders met the state's English language arts proficiency standard. 35% of sixth graders met the state math standard, and 38% of eighth graders met the science standard. The 2021 COVID-impacted scores are even worse. That means that a majority of our students do not have the skills necessary to read, write, or understand science and math at grade level. As a coach, as a scientist, as a business leader, I understand that one data point does not define an athlete, a team, or a season. It's only a snapshot in time. However, when all of these measures are going in the wrong direction, it's time that we evaluate what is happening and adjust. We need to figure out the root cause. We have a multi-year decline in performance across the board, which indicates there's a systemic problem, and we need to determine that root cause. We need to evaluate the curriculum that we're using, how our educators are being trained, or if there is something else going on.
As a member of the school board, why should you be chosen to lead Jeffco Public Schools, and what will you do to work collaboratively with all constituents for the purpose of improving the learning experience for all students?
Thank you, Stacy. I am actually an Iber Tiger as well. So with that, I'm a Jeffco graduate. I'm married to a Jeffco graduate. My three children are all Jeffco graduates. My roots in Jeffco run very deep. I have extensive career experience and volunteer experience in the classroom, PTA, special committees, accountability. I helped on countless booster clubs, and I also helped organize an annual charity tournament that raised funds for the Jeffco Schools Foundation. I attended the Colorado School of Mines on a basketball scholarship. I played team sports my entire life, so I know how to function within a team. I know how to lead, and I also know how to follow. I coached volleyball at Columbine High School for 10 years. I already know how to work with students, parents, and administrators to win. Please check out all of the endorsements on my website. And I also have a couple of banners hanging up in Columbine High School. My team does. I'm a business and innovation leader. I have a very strong business acumen, and I know how to solve problems. I know that it takes a team to solve big problems. I also know how to govern. I'm currently on 3 boards for very large industry trade associations, but most importantly, I'm passionate, and I care very deeply about our kids, their health, their happiness, and their futures.